everyone, I'm here with the 31 Days of Tarot Challenge by Ethany. I'll link below. She is doing her 31 Days of Tarot again for January, so thank you, Ethany, for doing such a great challenge every year. And I love seeing other people's as well, so if you are doing 31 Days of Tarot, please let me know, link below, because I would love to see it. So let's get started with the first 7 days. So the first question is 2018 Energy Major Lessons. So for 2018, my card of the year is the Chariot. So how you figure out what your tarot card of the year is, the major arcana, is you take your birthday and your month and you add them together. So for example, I'm born August 15th, so I add 8 and 15 and I get 23. And then you add 23, or whatever your total number is, to the year. So 23 plus 2018 is, what is that? 2041. Okay, so then you look at 2041 or whatever you've come to and you add up all those digits. So 2 plus 4 plus 1 equals 7 equals a Chariot. So if you get something bigger than 21, you reduce it down. So let's say you got 35, you would do 3 plus 5 and that would give you 8. So that's how you figure out your card for the year. Kellyanne Maddox did a video about this last year, so she writes it out and explains it all, but that's basically how you do it. So I got the Chariot. So last year was a lover's year for me. This is a Chariot year, which is all about, you know, setting goals, moving forward. It could indicate that there's travel this year. It's about, you know, managing the light and the dark, the conscious and the subconscious, you know, kind of reining your horses together and getting things moving forward. So I anticipate that this is a year of action and a year of setting goals and going for it. So it's also associated with the astrological sign of Cancer, which is my moon sign. So it's also about like harnessing your emotions, getting those in order. So definitely I was very happy to have this as my card for the year 2018. The other thing that I do each year is I have a number of God and Goddess decks that I use. And I just really use them mostly for myself, but I do read with them for others. And what I do is I will assign them a number and then I roll a dice for which deck. Take that deck and then I shuffle a card and I pull a card for the year, and that is my word for the year and also who I'm working with for the year. And this year it was the Mythic Oracle, which is a deck that is a lot of Greek and Roman gods and goddesses, and I got Aries and Battle, and I thought, oh no, when I saw that, is this gonna be a year of fights? Oh no. And then I looked in the book, and it's about picking your battles and about being a warrior. What do you want to put your energy towards? What are you fighting for? Are you just fighting to be right or just for the sake of fighting? Or are you actually moving towards something? How are you using your energy? And Aries is also in Roman mythology. It's Mars. So it's about using that Mars, that masculine, whatever that means, energy. And so it's about, like, it really spoke to me about working more with masculine energy, working more with God energy, really working with warrior energy. So I think my word for the year, I don't really care for battle as a word, might be warrior. And I think that goes really well with the Chariot as the card for the year. It really is about moving forward and using your energy wisely. How are you harnessing your energy? Picking your battles wisely. Not everything has to be a fight all the time. What are you defending? So I thought, you know, when I read that, I was like, okay, that makes a little more sense. But last year, my card was Kuan Yin and Compassion from the Goddess and Sirens Oracle. And this year, obviously, more masculine energy that I'll be working with. So that was kind of exciting as cards for the year. The next question is top 5 decks of 2017, cards that decks that either came out or that you bought. And I felt like I didn't buy a lot of decks, but you know, I did buy a few during 2017. So my top 5 decks, the first one is The Good Tarot by Colette Baron-Reid. This came out, I feel like I got it in April or something, and since it came out, I've been using it as my daily draw deck for myself for the year, and I really love this deck. It is kind of between an Oracle and Tarot deck, but you could use either. I used it more as a daily draw Oracle deck. The artwork in this is really, really beautiful. There we go. It's just like very dreamy. I love the colors in this deck. I use this more, like I said, as a daily draw deck. So that's one of my top 5. The other one is the Llewellyn Tarot, which had been on my list for a while. This one's got a kind of more watercolory type vibe to it. This is the Llewellyn with the kind of thicker cardstock, and I kind of wish it was thinner. It's got a nice book with it. It's got a very watercolory. It's the same person that did Legends of the Arthurian Tarot, so it is a really beautiful deck. This to me is kind of more of a spring type deck. It does have kind of that spring energy for me. Another deck that I got this year that I would put in my top 5 is the Spellcasters Tarot, and this was a deck I was really on the fence about, but I did end up getting it, and I used it for the month of November, and I actually really liked it. I really liked its energy. I found it to be a little bit more masculine, sort of fantastical. Whoa, I said drop things. Sort of fantastical in some ways, but I really do like the artwork, and it was one of those decks that just kind of really grew on me. So that is the Spellcasters Tarot. Another deck I got this year, which is probably one of my favorites for the year for sure, is the Everyday Witch Tarot. Love this deck. It's fun, it's whimsical, it kind of has that 90s kind of witchy vibe to it, very, I don't know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Silver Ravenwolf, kind of kitschy charm to it, but I love it, and it reads really well, and people really enjoy it. People react to it really well. It's got a very youthful kind of vibe to it. Love this deck. And then to round out the top 5 this year, and I haven't worked with it yet, so I can't talk a lot about it, but I will be working with it this spring, is the Druidcraft Tarot. This one is a deck that's been on my list for a while, and again, I hemmed and hawed over it, but I am glad I got it. Again, I can't talk a lot about it just because I haven't worked with it all that much. It comes with a giant, as I try to pull this out, it comes with a giant book. Cards are very big, a little bit bigger. Artwork is beautiful. It's Will Worthington, so you know it's going to be just gorgeous. So I am so looking forward to using this in 2018. I did pick this up, I think I picked it up in the fall, like just a couple of months ago. So those are my top 5 of tarot. For my top 5 oracle decks this year, there's 2 that I got this year that have become like staples that I absolutely love. The first is the Rebel deck, which you've seen me use. If you follow me on Instagram, I pull one every Saturday. They are wonderful. They are sassy. They have swears on them. It really appeals to me. If you are sick of cards that are all candy and love and light all the time and that sometimes make you want to throw up, this deck is the antidote for you. So love this deck. This deck speaks to my soul. So loving this deck. The other one that has become a consistent favorite and that I pull every Sunday is the Sacred Creatives Oracle. This is probably the most I've ever spent on a deck, but it was totally worth it. It is beautiful, like everything from the box to the book that it comes with to the cardstock is just like delicious and luscious, and oh, it's just gorgeous. Like the design in this book, like just it's gorgeous. Whoever did this, they knew what they were doing. And it's for entrepreneurs or people who are creatives, and so I really love that. It's just a wonderful, beautiful deck. So those 2 are definitely in there. The next 3 are kind of like, I use them a little bit here and there, some a little bit more than others. I'm gonna put this over here. Got so much stuff. The first is the Kuan Yin Oracle, because as I said, I was working with Kuan Yin, so I did want to get this deck. It is beautiful, but I find it's just very specific. For me, it's like working with Kuan Yin. And it's beautiful. Love this deck. It's gentle, like Kuan Yin. It's lovely, but it still tells you what you need to hear. So that's nice. Another one that I got that I was working with in November was the Viking Oracle, and I love this deck. It was one of my favorites for November and December. Love this. Again, I'm finding I'm leaning a little more towards more masculine energy, was probably why Aries popped up. It's, yeah, definitely kind of a more masculine deck. It is, yeah, so you've got the gods in there and the goddesses. You've got runes. It's beautiful. I love it. It's got good wintry energy. It's very straightforward. I love working with it. And then the next one is the Crystal Mandala Oracle. This is a beautiful deck. It combines angels, ascended masters, and goddesses with crystals. And they're all these kind of like very beautiful mandalas. This has a very gentle feminine energy to it. It's a Lana Fairchild deck. The guidebook is wonderful. It's just, it's a beautiful deck to work with. So, loving this deck. So those are my top 5 of Oracle decks. The next question is the card that stalked you. There's a couple of cards that stalked me, but I say the one that stalked me the most was the Ace of Wands, as far as my deck draws, daily deck draws, and 2 of Wands, which are not bad cards to have stalk you, but they're all about opening up and appreciating the relationships in your life. I did also get a lot of earthy type cards, like a lot of Pentacles this year, so but not one consistently. It was just sort of like a lot of like, you know, Knight of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, like a lot of earthy type energy this past year. Oh, I forgot the top 5 tarot books. Now I only bought 1 tarot book this year, but it's a goodie. And it is the Creative Tarot. And I really recommend this if you are a creative person like me, and you like tarot as well, because it gives you a creative take on things, and then it uses like an artist or a writer as an example. So it's just a really good book to get you to think about the cards a little bit differently. And it goes from like aces, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, rather than by suit. And it's just, it's a lovely little book if you are a creative person. Next, the decks you crossed off your wish list. The decks I crossed off my wish list were definitely the Sacred Creators Oracle. When I first saw this, I was like, I want one. And it was, you know, she wasn't doing her second printing, but she was taking people on the list. So I was so happy to get this. So this definitely was a cross off your wish list. The other cross off my wish list was the Llewellyn Tarot. I'd seen Kelly from Truth and Story working with this, and I really wanted to give it a go as well. So that was another one. And the Druidcraft Tarot. Again, I'm going to be working with this year, but I did buy it in 2017, and it was on my wish list, so cross that off the wish list. And question number 7, most worked deck. Now, I tend to pick a deck every month, but the deck I consistently work with the most is the Shadowscapes Tarot. This is kind of my home deck. I love this deck. Usually when I'm doing readings for others, I'll usually use the deck of the month, but sometimes I just feel called to use this deck, and it's a deck that consistently calls to me. I think it's just beautiful, and it's just got a lovely fae energy to it. It's one of my favorite decks, and so I would say overall this is probably the most worked deck of the year. So that is my first 7 days of the 31 Days Tarot. Again, if you are doing 31 Days Tarot, please let me know. Put in the links below, and if you have any questions, or put in the comments below, pardon me, let me know, and like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.